Hey, what's up guys? My name is Blake and today we're going to be talking about the Canon RF 50mm lens. Let's go. Alright guys, so if you're familiar with Canon at all, if you've been in photography any length of time, you know that the Nifty 50 is one of those lenses that a lot of photographers put in their bag. It's a relatively inexpensive lens for the results that you get out of it, and it's a go-to lens for low light photography. This is Canon's new RF version of that. Before they had the EF version, now they have the RF version, which this lens right here is a $199 lens. Now if you know anything about the RF lenses, they are expensive. So a $199 RF lens is very, very cheap. So this is like the cheapest RF lens you can get, and the results that you get with this thing is actually pretty darn amazing. So one of the things that is nice with this lens is that even though it is much tinier, it still has that focus ring like all the other RF lenses that Canon offers. So that focus ring, you can set whatever setting you want to that. So you can do shutter speed, you can do aperture, you can do ISO, whatever you want for that focus ring. Usually what I do is I have two of the rocker switches on my camera, one being shutter speed, the other one being aperture. Then this focus ring, I end up just setting that to ISO. So then I have all three of those settings right here in my hands, and I never have to go into menus or change anything like that. It's much simpler, and it's very nice to have, especially on something that's this small / this inexpensive. The Nifty 50, why is it called a Nifty 50? Because it's a very versatile lens. With it being an f1.8, you can get super low light photos and have them turn out very good. So an f1.8, it just lets a whole lot more light into the lens, which means that the less light you have, you want a smaller aperture, because smaller aperture, the more wide open the lens is going to be. The more wide open the lens is, the more light you can get in. So if you're in a dark scenario, dark scene, doing night shots or downtown shots at night, whatever, then you want as much light to that lens as you can possibly get. This lens is the go-to lens for that. Also, with the f1.8, then you have a lot more options with your aperture stop. So you can go from f1.8 all the way up to f22 or whatever you want, and you can really lock in your depth of field for your different subjects and stuff like that. Usually with f1.8, you can have a super duper blown out shot, so your subjects are going to stand out like big time. The other thing that is nice about this is that you have the f2.8 option. They can bump up to if you don't want it so blown out, but you still want your subjects to stand out. I really love that about this camera as well. About this lens as well. But so yeah, with it being a 50mm lens, that's a fixed focal length. So like with this lens I have in the camera right now, it's a 24 to 240, which means I can come all the way out to a 24mm, which is like a wide shot, and zoom all the way into a 240, which is like a telephoto lens or a zoom lens, right? So this is fixed. So this lens is fixed at 50mm. So you're gonna get shots that are kind of tighter. So if you're doing portraits with this, make sure you have your subjects, far back. If you're doing landscape shots with that, obviously it's whatever, but. So yeah, keep that in mind. It is going to punch in a little bit just because it is a 50mm. It's not a wide angle lens or anything like that. So on the side of the lens here is a little switch. You can change the setting from your control ring for it to either control your focus or to make it to the setting that you set your control ring at. So like I said before, all my control rings are set for ISO. So if I have this little rocker switch set on control, then that means it is automatically going to be at that setting. Every time I put an RF lens on my camera and it has a focus ring, as long as it's switched over to control, it's going to be ISO for me, because that's the setting I have it for. And you can make different profiles and stuff for it as well. Then if you switch it over to focus, then what you're telling it is you want this focus ring to no longer be that ISO or whatever setting you have for it. You want it to be the focus, to actually rack your focus manually. So which you can do that. So that's also a nice feature. Especially with a lens that doesn't articulate in and out like that, because it's 50mm, it's a fixed length. So yeah, I really like that as well. But yeah, I have played around with this lens a lot. I've taken a bunch of pictures of my kids and tried to do some night photography. Actually, here is an example right here. This was a picture that I took in the basement. It was pitch black outside. I took a photo out the window from the basement. And so I took a photo of what it looked like to me. So here's that. Then I took a photo of what I was able to capture with this lens. So here's that. So you can see with this 1.8 wide open and a longer exposure time at night, that night shot looked like daytime. It was incredible. It's crazy. So it really shows how much light you can really expose to the lens, especially dipping down all the way to that f1.8. It's very nice. I like that. I still have to use. I wanted to use it do like a bunch of shots downtown. Actually, I think I did take a couple of night photos, so here's a couple of night photos. So in a nutshell, this Canon RF 50mm Nifty 50, it's $199. I do recommend it for anybody who's into cameras, anybody who's got an R series, Canon, whatever. You don't have this lens, go pick this lens up. It will change the way you take photos. It will change your mindset on when you can take photos. With that f1.8, you can take as many night photos as you want, and no noise. It's really, really cool. You want this lens in your bag. It's only $199, and I know some people are gonna be like, that's crazy. Well, it's really not, especially look at all the, I mean, you can get some lenses for like $2,000–$3,000, which is insane. So $199 for this little lens, and the quality you get from this is, it'll for sure pay for itself. So I do recommend it. If you don't have it, make sure you go get it, and I'll have a link for it in the description box below. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please put them in the comment box below. And if you have any ideas for a video, please make sure you post those as well, and I will look at those. If you haven't already, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.